Forgot to buckle my helmet the whole time. Oops.
Motorcycle.
And we're off on another fantastic voyage. Thank you for joining me again on my ride home narration, podcast, vlog, whatever you want to call it. Today, start the day out usual, hit I-25 because it's the only way to get up north as quickly as possible. When I say north, I mean into South Denver. Today I'm going to be cruising past Washington Park, as we like to call Wash Park. Make my way into downtown. Some of the scenes might look familiar, but that's kind of how these rides go. Like, you have a plan, the city gives you surprises, and sometimes you just have to call an audible. You know, that's one of the great things about riding a motorcycle, I think, that you're not locked into one path. You can move and you can like make adjustments. You can even like turn around, you get lost. Happens. And you can like sometimes sneak through a street. gotta do whatever you gotta do. Find your way.
Still raindrops.
Oh, by the way, I just mentioned that there's raindrops. There's not a cloud above me. So weird stuff happens too. So you have clouds to the right over to the east there. And I know those are rain clouds. And I know there are rain clouds up north there. But above me there are no clouds. It is blue sky. And I'm still feeling raindrops. And I'm praying at this moment, like, let me not hit any rain. If I were to hit rain, please let it not be hail. My wife used to think I was really dramatic when I saw rain clouds. Like we'd be out to dinner or something. You know, we take the bike out to dinner on Friday night. And you can smell the rain coming, right? You could feel it, you could smell. All of a sudden the wind gets a little chilly. And then you could like start to smell the moisture. And when you're on a bike, it's like, nope, it's time to go. It's either time to go or it's time to pull the bike underneath something. It's time to hunker down. Either or, the rain is definitely a significant obstacle when you're, especially when you're riding as much as I do on the highway, because you get rained on when you're on the side streets. I've been able to pull into parking lots. I've been able to pull underneath awnings. I've been able to hide from the rain for a while. But when you're on the highway, you better hope there's a bridge coming. There were actually a few times where I got caught out in the North I-25 by Loveland, and there wasn't a bridge for another 4 or 5 miles, and there was bumper to bumper traffic, and it started hailing on me. I had to roll off onto the shoulder through a little ravine full of weeds and dirt onto a frontage road, and then eventually a couple hundred feet down the road, I found a little shopping district, and I was able to pull the bike underneath the awning and just kind of wait out the hail. But that's an experience I hope I will never repeat. So like I was saying, we're starting with the usual stretch of highway here into South Denver. At least we're moving in this particular day. Nothing too dramatic here. Just kind of getting into the rhythm. That is until a minute here I'm about to notice something that made this ride, I think, a little more dramatic. Yep, I forgot to buckle my helmet. So here I am riding at highway speeds with no helmet on. And yes, I know a lot of people don't wear a helmet at all, but yeah, I wrecked. I smacked my head against the pavement, and I was happy I had a helmet on at that time. now we're off the highway, moving into Washington Park. Now this area kind of takes me back as well to when I first started riding. I used to ride my first motorcycle past Washington Park on my way home, and I wasn't ready for the highway yet at that time. Part of it was because I was still a new rider. I was still trying to figure it out. Part of it was because I was riding a 16-year-old Honda Nighthawk 750 that really didn't go much faster than 60 miles an hour. I mean, I could get it above 60, but it was like just shaking. It felt like it was about to fall apart. I bought it for like $1,600. It was worth every penny. So this was essentially my practice ground. This is where I got to actually take my bike onto a busy road and just see if I could get over that fear, first of all, of getting hit by a car. The second thing you got to do is really kind of learn. I mean, I think the second thing you should learn how to do is panic brake. Hopefully you won't have to use that too often, but you probably will. But then also how to ride the clutch just so that you're able to slow the bike down without hitting the brakes, because I learned that it's the proper way to slow your bike is to just downshift and kind of let the engine brake itself. Not always allowed, but I think it'll save your brakes first of all, and then also allow you to kind of have a little bit more control of your bike, so you're not so quick to grab brake. So these are like easy roads, nice scenery. It's just enough traffic to learn, but not enough to feel like I was getting thrown into the deep end. Every rider has those early routes where they build confidence. And for me, this was one of them. And as you can see why. I mean, this is a very, very beautiful scenery, and these houses were really immaculate. Forgot to buckle my helmet the whole time. Oops. So right now, this is the first part of the ride. I actually get to stop. As you can see, previously, most of the time I've been either on the highway or moving past this park here. And then that was actually the first opportunity that I had to actually stop and buckle my helmet. So now we're rolling, I guess. Now I can go ahead and be a little bit more of a hooligan. Not so much, but at least that's what I tell myself. This is that familiar area that I was telling you about. This is just Spear Boulevard. We were already on Spear Boulevard before. I think I might be a little further down this time around. But when the ride looks like this and it's nice and open, I can't resist. And this is rare. Spear is usually never this open, especially during rush hour, but sometimes you get lucky. And now I see it. Now I see the traffic. Let me park here under some shade under this tree, get some relief. This time I'm gonna turn on Logan here. Let's go up Cap Hill. So this area is known as Capitol Hill, and we call it Cap Hill for short. And this area is also nostalgic. I used to work over here by the Capitol. And the thing about working by the Capitol is you have to park like 5 blocks away from your job. And every once in a while you're going to get a ticket. I think we averaged 2 tickets a year. You're going to get a parking ticket. You're going to have to pay it, or else you're going to come out one day and there's going to be a boot on your car. And it's going to be a Friday. And it's going to be in the afternoon when everything is closed. And it's going to be a 3-day weekend. So your car is going to have to sit there until Tuesday. Because that's exactly what happened to me. Cap Hill is always an interesting place, though. There's so much history packed into these little blocks, these old mansions, these big trees, and the architecture. Like, you can feel this part of Denver has seen a lot. I always recommend taking a tour of some of these old estates. If you ever get a chance. They tell you a lot about how people used to live back then. For instance, I went into one and there was a grand staircase in the entrance. And I thought to myself, oh, that is to impress guests and show off the family status. Big grand staircase. You get it? Then somewhere in the back, there's usually a really small kitchen. Like the smallest kitchen you've ever seen. The service area. And then there's another staircase in the back of the kitchen that goes upstairs. That staircase is for the help. But the buildings are beautiful. But they also tell a story about class, money, and the way society was structured at the time. And I always think to myself, did the affluent live here because it was closer to the Capitol back then? So, back then you were on a horse, right? Horse and carriage. So, you didn't have high-speed internet access. You couldn't get somebody on a video conference call. You needed to live next to the power, and the power was, of course, the Capitol building, the legislature. So the affluent would live closer in proximity to the legislature, because that's where, the conversations needed to happen. At least that's what I'm assuming. I don't know. I haven't read the story yet, so stay tuned. Maybe I'll read that story to you. For now, I'm just going to finish this ride. So we're about to pass Colfax here. And this area is where I used to go get lunch back in the early 2000s. Now it's kind of half of it's under construction and half of it is kind of a homeless encampment. So it's unfortunate that it's gone to that. But I remember when that little area next to the Capitol, Colfax, was actually kind of a nice place to be. I used to get a bagel every morning and a sandwich every afternoon. It was a good time. Now we're making the turn back into downtown. And this is where the ride gets a little sketch again. This is the one where you definitely have to have your head on a swivel, because you never really know what people are going to do. And I'm pretty sure it's because it's kind of unfamiliar. Downtown is kind of a weird place where, everywhere is a one-way. So if you miss your turn, you're going 2 blocks down before you could do a U-turn and you're swinging back around. So there's that. Parking is always difficult. And the roads aren't always in a grid. A lot of times they kind of curve around and do weird things. And you end up where you're not supposed to go. So I get why people tend to panic and do things out of the ordinary when they get into downtown here, especially during rush hour. Like, I get it. For instance, this truck in front of me, probably going to cut me off. Yep. And probably going to keep going. Yep. Yeah, you got to be ready for that. No, I usually cut out the stoplights, but I'm going to leave this stop in because, look at that shot. That is just cool. And old school folks from Denver, holler back if you ever saw hang gliders in the downtown area. I'm pretty sure when I was a kid and my grandparents would bring me downtown to run errands, I could swear I could look up and see people hang gliding. Now, we're talking like the 80s. We're talking, after the Jeffersons was over, we would leave and go run errands. That's how long ago it was. And, comment if you remember that or if I'm just going crazy. Maybe I was seeing things as a child. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I saw people hang gliding downtown. See, the streets are blocked off for an event, so I'm gonna have to backtrack a little bit. Go back to the right and then swoop around 2 blocks, or I can maybe, I mean, if nobody's using the lane, I kind of go ahead and make my own way. And yeah, okay, so that just happened. Yeah, so that happens sometimes. You think you know where you're going, and then you see cones and barricades and detour signs, and they decide otherwise. I had to slow down, I had to look around, figure out a way through without getting in anyone's way, without injuring anybody or damaging any property. I don't usually improvise like that, but sometimes on a motorcycle you find yourself needing to make a careful adjustment. Nothing crazy. Just paying attention, moving slow, and trying to find your safest way forward. So eventually here I make it back to I-25 and on the express lane, and then at this point I'm pretty much almost home. I would normally consider this one of my favorite parts of the ride because I get to kind of travel at high speeds. Then the city kind of starts fading behind you. The roads open up and you kind of feel the wind again. I would normally consider this a good experience, but I've learned more and more during rush hour on the express lane. People don't necessarily respect space. So as you can see, there is no one on the express lane, but time and time again, someone will get behind me, and I travel in the right-hand side because I feel the left-hand side is for passing. Yet, while I'm traveling in the right-hand side and maybe going 15 miles over the speed limit, there's always somebody who wants to ride right behind me. And if you're watching this and you don't ride motorcycles, let me tell you what's going to happen. If I were to ever go down for any reason, which happens, not always my fault. Sometimes you get a blown tire, sometimes you hit something and you kind of wobble. Sometimes you get a death wobble. Anything can happen, but sometimes you go down on the bike. And if you are right behind me, you are riding over me. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'll let you pass, no big deal. I'm not that kind of rider who wants to stay in front of people who wants to pass them. You see that truck just passed me? Everybody's happy. We're all going to make it. It was all good. But if you're that person who likes to tailgate a motorcycle, just stop for a moment and realize that, it's not that deep. We're all going to, get to where we need to go. Eat, go to sleep, wake up, and do it all over again. At the end of the day, it's just, do we get a chance to do it all over again? That's really the most important thing. And there's a time in everyone's life where you won't get to try again. You won't get to do it again. That is the last. So enjoy it while it lasts. about to enter the neighborhood again. About to pull up at home. And it couldn't have come at any better time because although I love being on my bike, after about an hour, my butt starts to hurt. It just, I don't have it in me. I have literally an hour, I have 60 minutes in me, and then I have to get off and kind of like shake it out a little bit. Now, when I'm walking around, all I want to do is get back on my bike, so I will be riding again, but I hear people doing the Iron Butt Challenge, and I hope that I could try it someday, but I'm not confident I'll be able to do that. That is a long time to be in the saddle, so we'll see someday. Oops. So I have a bit of a cameo appearance here. You'll see here in a minute. I'm about to open this door. This is one of the best parts of returning home, right?
What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Did you hear it coming? Did you hear it coming? Hi, hi. Last time.
Just got back. That didn't sound good.
Motorcycle.